This is Little Island, a completely free public park that is floating on the Hudson River in New York City. It costs over $260 million to build. It has over 400 plants, and it only exists because of a billionaire, a hurricane, and the remaining parts of a pier where the Titanic survivors landed once they got to New York. And the crazy part is, a lot of people don't even know that this place exists. So today I am going to give you a tour of Little Island and explain how this floating park became a reality. So to understand how we got this incredible park, we actually need to go back in time to 1912. This spot used to be Pier 54, and it was actually where the survivors of the Titanic landed when they finally made it to New York. And if we go back to 2012, Hurricane Sandy actually destroyed most of what was left of the old pier. And they wanted to rebuild the pier, and most people would have just turned it into a normal pier, but not Barry Diller. He said he wanted to do something unique and he wanted to turn it into this floating park. He's also a billionaire. He's a media mogul that's worth like over $4 billion. So he had the money to do whatever he wanted to do with it. Let's just pause and acknowledge billionaires like that who decide like, I got some money laying around. Let me just build something really cool that can also benefit anyone who wants to use it. Let's just do that for fun since we can. So Barry partnered with the Hudson River Park Trust and said, I'm going to pay for everything, but on one condition. You have to make sure that it's free for everyone forever. And they said yes. So how was this place actually designed? Barry Diller called in Thomas Heatherwick, which is the same guy who designed that big honeycomb sculpture in Hudson Yards. And he also called in a landscape architect named Stickney Nilsson. And he gave them a challenge: design a park that can float on water. And this is their solution. They drove 280 concrete pillars down into the Hudson River bedrock, and some of them even go as deep as 200 feet into the bedrock. And then, because they couldn't just do something basic, even though this was innovative enough, they couldn't just leave it there. They then decided that some of the pillars would come up at different heights so that it looks like a rolling mountain instead of just a regular flat pier. They also kept some of the wooden piles from the original Pier 54, and they built around them to maintain habitats for fish and other marine life. So not only is this a floating park, but it also kind of serves as like an artificial reef. And each one of these concrete pillars are unique, so none of them are the same. They were all created with 3D modeling, and they're each unique. If you're able to get an aerial view of Little Island, it actually looks like a leaf that is floating in the water. So they really thought through like everything. So what do people actually do here? Have I mentioned that this place is free? I can't emphasize that enough. It is free. So Little Island consists of three main parts. One is called the Glade, which is where I'm at right now. It is an amphitheater. Over 800 people can fit here, and they do free concerts and performances. Especially during the summertime, they do a lot of like weekly performances here. There's also the playground, which has food trucks and places to sit down and places where kids can play. And everything else is the park itself. So you can kind of think of it like a botanical wonderland. They have 35 species of trees, 65 different types of shrub, and 270 different types of grass and vines. And a lot of the plants that they have are specifically picked just so that they'll attract different types of birds and bees to help pollinate everything. And the landscape changes every season. So right now it is almost fall. It's September 26th. So it is technically fall, but I would love to see the park in the spring. So maybe I should do like a spring trip one day. And the park is designed in like different microclimates. So depending on which part of the park you're in, it's going to feel like you're in a completely different area. I think the best part about this park is just like the escapism, because I am technically in New York, but it doesn't feel like it. Like I can still hear the sounds of like cars and like ambulances and things like that, but it doesn't feel like I'm in a city. If I'm just like present in the moment, it feels like I'm in a park anywhere. And I just so happen to be in New York. And I'm reminded of that anytime I look up and I can see like the buildings and everything, but it's just like a really calm type of vibe here that I can appreciate. And speaking of when you look up, so like the views here are incredible. You can see the Statue of Liberty, you can see the Hudson River, obviously, and you can see the whole Manhattan skyline. And because it's elevated above the water, you get this like really nice breeze that comes in from the river, and it can cool off like a really hot day. So I had on a jacket today, but I had to take that jacket off because it is hot. It is 76 degrees, but in the sun, it feels a lot hotter than that. So I've really been appreciating that breeze anytime it comes through. And I'm here on a Friday afternoon, so it is 12:52 p.m. There's definitely like a good crowd here, but it's not overcrowded. I got here around like 11 and I'm still here. So I've seen people come through like for their lunch break. I've seen people bring their kids here. So it's a good crowd. Like there's definitely tourists here, people like me, but there's also just people who live here and who've just been like walking in and out. I saw on their website that they even do free events throughout the week. So like yoga classes, a bingo night, art workshops, live music. So they've got a lot of different options depending on what you're interested in. And there are some food options in case you get hungry. It's not going to be enough for a meal. It's going to be like hot dogs, chips, drinks, that type of thing. But it's a nice little snack until you get to wherever your next meal is going to be. Pro tip, if you do get hungry and the drinks and snacks that they have at Little Island aren't enough for you, you can cross the street and go to Pier 57, which is a food hall, and they have plenty of options. I got me some boba tea, and then you can go upstairs and they have this beautiful rooftop area, and then you can see Little Island from across the river. So what I think is really cool about this place is what it represents, because it represents what's possible when someone with a lot of money decides not to just use it for themselves or to make even more money, but instead they use it to build something that anybody can use for free. So Barry Diller had $260 million. You know what you can do with $260 million? You can do a lot of stuff. Like he could have done a lot of things, but instead he created a space that anybody can use. People here in New York can use, or people around the world visiting can use. And in a city that is so expensive, like so expensive, places like this prove that if we wanted to, we could create free spaces for people to enjoy. Emphasis on if we wanted to. So if you are ever in New York, you have to come check out this park. It is right near Hudson Yards and the High Line. So if you want, you can hit all three of those at the same time. And the best part, did I mention that it's free? Because you know, we love to do free things, especially if they're beautiful. So if you've been here, let me know in the comments below. And also if you know any other type of hidden gems in New York or anywhere else in the country, unique places like this that are also free, please let us know in the comments below. I hope you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more videos like this. And I'll see you next time. Bye. It almost feels like... What? But that was definitely New York, because why is he screaming like that? And I'm here on a Friday afternoon. It is ooh, a mosquito that's gonna itch later. It's probably because I'm under these trees. Let me hurry up. Oh, yes, there's mosquitoes.